it's a school night. To start, let's do what we always like to do. If you can all indulge me and stand up and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will stay as long as anybody'd like to stay tonight, but let me explain what we're doing, why the heck we're doing things. All right? Good to see you. But let me first introduce a couple folks. We all know her, you all know her, we all love her. Our state senator, Pam Alford.
I have two quick roll comments. One, this is Joe's evening, but if anybody has any questions with regard to what's going on in the state of Illinois right now, I'll be happy to answer those questions as well. And
everything's running smooth down here.
Well, I'm not going to go there. And regardless about how angry or disgusted or frustrated or whatever the appropriate verb is, how you feel about government right now, I think one of the things that I want to point out is how wonderful it is to have a newly elected congressman who chooses as his first business, as his first important business, is to have town hall meetings so he can hear from his constituents about what it is.
If I miss any other, we're all important people. If I miss any other important people in the crowd, raise your hand. But let me introduce my campaign manager, McHenry County Board Member, Nick Provenzano. Let me take a couple minutes and tell you why we're doing this, explain sort of the format tonight. There is no format. And give you a little tidbit on what's going on in Washington. Then I'm going to open it up. Two questions. Many of you watched or were part of the campaign. You've heard me speak. You know where I stand on a lot of issues. There's nothing more important. Put all those issues outside the window. Come on in. There is nothing more important, Republican or Democrat, than your representative getting in front of the people all the time. All the time. And I'm talking in front of people, answering any question with no aides around me, with no media in here, though there may be media here, but answering any question you want to ask about me, about how I think about any issue. I intend to do this for the next 2 years more than you can imagine. I'm sworn in, I think, on January 5th. It was important to me that I spend this December getting out and right away showing folks what I'm going to do the next 2 years. Look, I'm your congressman, I'm your representative, I'm going to Washington. I'd much rather be here. They changed our schedule a little bit, the Republicans did, so we can be here more. Everybody elected, when they first go to D.C., they got to decide, am I going to live in Washington? Am I going to buy a house there? Am I going to rent a house there? It was an easy decision for me. I'm sleeping on my couch. I'm sleeping in my office. That is not home. This is home. These first 2 years, however long I'm in Congress, I will always spend more of my time here.
And where do you live, Joe?
I live in unincorporated McHenry.
He lives over by us by the drive.
Can you take a minute to introduce your wife?
Yes, thank you. No, I'll close with an introduction to Helene. Final point, though, is when I'm home, it's my job to get in front of my constituents. And look, there's a lot about Melissa Bean that bugged me. And Melissa had a lot about Phil Crane that bugged her because they forgot that. They both did. You can't do telephone town halls like that's really listening to your constituents. You can't do by invitation only events. If I'm not brave enough to stand in front of Democrats, Independents, or Republicans and answer anything under the sun, I don't deserve to be reelected. So it's very important. You need to know the next 2 years, there are going to be more town halls than you can imagine. You might get sick of my face, but that's my job. So, there are only 2 ground rules for tonight. I'll answer anything. You can say anything. I want to know what you're thinking. I got a pretty good idea how this district thinks, but I really want to know what you're thinking. When I go there January 5th, I'm your voice. So I want you to be able to say anything you want to say. Ask me anything. Do it with respect. Treat each other with respect. I'm hoping there are a lot of viewpoints in this auditorium. This is the 3rd one of these we did. We put 125 people in Lake Zurich Sunday during the blizzard. We had 115 in Fox Lake. We're going down to Schaumburg, Palatine Tuesday, and then we'll close in Gurnee on Thursday. We are purposely robocalling. I know you hate these automated calls, but we're purposely calling independents and Democrats. I want people here who did not vote for me. I want to hear what they think. I want to answer their questions. So spread that word. The other ground rule is don't filibuster. Don't hog the floor. When you ask a question, we got a lot of people that want to ask questions. Get to your point, ask your question, say your piece. And if I start to filibuster, call me on it. If I start to hog the floor, call me on it. Thank you, John. My wife and partner up there, Joe Walsh. So I'm done speaking. As Pam mentioned, if you've got any state-specific questions, I'm going to refer to the expert. If you got some McHenry County-specific questions, Pam and Nick, we've got people here who can help me answer some of those questions.
John Hammer is also walking in from the
Where's John?
planning board, too.
John from the school board. If you've got school board,
Planning board, sorry.
wouldn't want to be on the school board. County board. Feel free. Again, I prefer a really informal environment. If you don't want to ask a question out loud, or you've got a thought and you want to write it down, you've got staff around who can take down your questions. Okay? So let's get started. Who wants to fire the first shot, make the first point, ask the first question?
Okay. The Republicans that have been in power forever, are they going to try to intimidate all the new representatives that the people put in office? And I think they know why they're there. Because we're disgusted with the big government and things running smooth and appeasing the Democrats on the other side of the aisle.
I've been to Washington twice in the last month. They've been whining and dining us, I can tell you that. Oh, the food. So maybe that's part of their strategy. They're going to try to soften us up first. Look, the Republicans that are there, Boehner, Cantor, the leadership, I think, no BS, I think they get it. Will they hold to that? Don't know. But they know that right now there are 83 new Republican freshmen. That's a third of all the Republicans in conference. If these freshmen stay together, we can influence what goes on. And here's what you got to know about these freshmen. They're a lot like me. I'm a lot like them. Everybody elected this year knows why they were elected. It's an amazing class. You've got first-time candidates. You've got dentists, doctors, businessmen who drop their lives to run for Congress because they're ticked off. They're scared to death. They're angry. That's why I did it. So there are a lot of people like that. Will they all stay firm? Doubt it. But I think a lot will. Enough to make a difference.
Well, I think everybody got the message. And I think in the long term, Republicans got the message too. Because if they don't, they won't be there the next time.
What I hear over and over when I'm in Washington is cut spending, cut down government. We're on a path right now that's bankrupting our kids and our grandkids. This is coming from people elected. And you know, you get there and you see all this stuff and everybody treats you like you're you-know-what. Some folks will get taken in by that. But what we need to do as Republican freshmen, and I'd say as Republicans everywhere, we need to govern these next 2 years like we are perfectly willing to lose. That's what I'm going to do. Don't take this wrong. I could give a darn if I'm reelected in 2 years. I'm going to govern like I'm perfectly willing to lose because we're at a crucial moment in our history and we better do what's right or we're all going to lose.